Welcome to the video about my June finished works, and let's start with dark fairy tales because I decided to color another page in this book in May when I did my first mermaid picture here, but then I didn't have time in May, so I decided to proceed in June. In this book, somehow in Mermaid Fairy Tale, I did the biggest amount of finished pictures. That was May work. There are a couple more from previous years. And finally, in June, I did this very sad picture. And I wanted it to be dramatic, so when I looked closer, I decided to turn those swirls into blood, and then I decided that maybe too much blood it's not so good, so a little bit of water, drops of water, a little bit of blood. So I tried to show the duality of mermaid character. Also, I decided to make it more dramatic by adding bloody splashes here. So it was a little bit challenging when I selected colors, but I think that in the end it's a nice mix of like fairy tale and dark fairy tale. Colors for her hair, for her tail, I repeat from one page to another to have nice set of illustrations. And of course the most challenging part was how to select those colors for Morena fishes. In the end I decided that this dark green with a little bit of black for the shading, it will be dramatic enough. So it was quick work, nothing special, but I am happy that just one page and my mermaid part will be finished in this book. And I do love that works here, I can color them very quickly because of the dark background pre-printed or background which I quickly do with markers. Another book where I use the same technique, marker background, and then I work with pencils, it's A Frog's Tale. In June I added two more pictures. The first one is this very relaxed, very sleepy picture. I really love how comfy Mr. Fogarty is inside of the boat. So it's several Ohuhu markers for the background, and I wanted to do different hue of blue, slightly more blue greenish, even teal color around the water, and more regular blue in the corners. I hoped that in such way I will be able to show the dynamics of slow moving boat. Also I did quick work on the leaves here. I decided that I don't want to color them with pencils to spend time, even if blending here it's not perfect. I hope that this uneven coloring it creates some impression of the wet leaves. So that's how I tell myself that I don't need to work with pencils here. So with pencils I worked on the boat, on Mr. Fogarty, and on fishes. I really love those fishes. I think that they added a nice vibrant touch to the whole picture. And I tried to mask all the lines on the waves, so a lot of white gouache also. Second one is much more dynamic, even if it's called the snail race. Here I tried one of my favorite color combo for the background. I absolutely love all grayish pink colors in my set of Ohuhu markers, and here they worked really well for the background. And imperfections with blending I masked with pencils from Prismacolor set like Great Lavender, like Lavender. So together they worked really well, plus a little bit of white paint to emphasize again the movement of the car and edges of those clouds probably. I absolutely love their faces, especially those for the snails, it's priceless. So it was also very fun page to color. I love to color such vintage cars. For this one I selected red color, and I think that it made her a nice focal point of the whole page. So I'm quite happy with both pictures here. Despite the thin paper, still it's really lovely to work in this book. In the next book, it's not so lovely to work. I can't explain to myself why I continue to return to it, and the most strange thing is that every time when I think that I finally mastered this paper, the next page turned into total disaster. Something doesn't work, pencils and markers don't blend, so disaster. The next one, it's good, okay, and in such way, one good, one not so good. I continue to work here, and I have huge plans for this book because I want to color many more. Let's start from good pages, because I think that this one is really good, even if again I had problems with doing smooth gradient on the background. By adding a layer of pencil and then splashes of paint and stars, I successfully managed to mask all the areas where I wasn't happy with the background. And girls, I think that I absolutely love them. It's also reminded me about Harry Potter, about Quidditch game, so that was inspired me. It was interesting to do their black robes, trying to show those folds on the fabric, trying to make them more three-dimensional despite this black color. I think that I managed to do it nicely, both shading on heads and shading on robe. I think that I managed to do it really quite well. Another one which I love, it was this spring collage. Actually, it's spring essentials for the witch. Yeah, the correct name of the picture. And I liked it until I decided to add this background. Again, idea was good to add a light green background, like a very fresh grass, but even with such light colors, I wasn't able to blend them smoothly. There are some stains here, and color which I selected, it looks a little bit more yellowish than I wanted. So forget about the background, but the image is good. I tried to divide all those various witch objects into several color groups. You can see several yellow, several pink, several green, and I think that in the end it looked really nice and well balanced. Couple of bright color accents. It was fun to color, and polychromos for me definitely are the best pencils for this paper. They help me to work with such tiny elements as we have here, and they work well on top of markers. But of course, it's still, even with polychromos, blending, covering paper without grainy texture and white spots, it's a huge problem. And somehow on the next page, it was really difficult. Maybe I didn't select carefully markers for the background, so shading which I did with markers here inside the wagon near the ceiling, it wasn't enough. I started to add more shadows with pencils and it looked more like dirt. The same thing, problems with shading I had here on the seat, but in the end it looks lovely, and I love the idea, the vibe of this page. Maybe they return from their witch school to their home to spend holidays, or maybe it's beginning of their travel. Anyway, there is something very pleasant in this page, maybe because I love to travel via trains. That's why I selected it, and that's why I still love this page. Of course, in June, I continued to color my matchstick mouse. I try not to start the more interesting book about traveling of matchstick mouse, because I really want to have good progress in matchstick mouse summer. So what I did in June. My mouse, she had a very good time. She went sunbathing, and I especially love how tiny worm is laying their tails. It's such an adorable detail. I decided to use orange for the sky to show that they have very hot day, very bright sunshine or maybe I was simply bored by repeating blue sky everywhere. The next one, it was about ice cream. I love ice cream myself, so of course I wanted to do it. Well, I also think that it's lovely. I especially love the bug here. I would love to see this page in motion, how bug managed to do something with the sand. And look at this tiny ice cream, also so adorable, and hat. Absolutely love this hat. Next, my mouse had much more active days, so they decided to go hiking probably. I think that here we have the beginning of their journey, and I tried to show that here we have early morning for the start of their journey, just a little bit of salmon pink and pink for the sky. And look at this hat, again such an adorable detail, and head of the bug here. When I color in Matchstick Mouse, I don't mind to do some fantasy plants here. Sometimes I add more red, sometimes orange, sometimes lilac to the leaves. I think that it makes picture a little bit more interesting. And after a long day, they finally reached the top of the mountain. Here I try to show that maybe it's closer to the evening, that's why sky has such colors. I used here markers, they also didn't blend very smoothly. Fortunately, there are quite strong borders between colors, even if I tried to blend them with blender, with lighter shades. Well, I think that it's paper or maybe my skills. But even with such imperfections on the background, I think that the whole composition looks lovely. Background creates good contrast to the mouse and to the mountain. Honestly, I also wanted to do another part of their journey. I think that this is a logical part between beginning and the end, but this one I think that I will do during July. So maybe not the best progress, but still 2 or 3 pictures I try to add each month. Next, I have this country kitchen charm where I also wanted to have a good progress, but unfortunately I decided to make short break because page which I did here, I don't know if I like it or no. In this book, I try to do kitchens in different styles and in different colors. And after blue kitchen, dark green kitchen, pink kitchen, yellow, so I decided to do one in more futuristic mode maybe. So this one with majority of red colors, and it's not bad. I simply had some problems with yellow light. Maybe I exaggerated a little bit with yellow color on the table. Apart from it, I think that it looks lovely. Clear, vibrant red for the chairs and lamps, and more mahogany red, Tuscan red, like brownish muted colors for the furniture. I think that it's okay. Not the best, but I decided that maybe I will do a break for a couple of months and then I will return to it. On the one side, I want to have good progress to finish it. On the other side, I don't want to press myself to make pictures similar to one another, and that's what's happened when I color it very often. So maybe after a month's break I will return to it with more fresh ideas for the remaining pictures, because I still need to do a lot of them if I want to finish it one day. In Village Charm, I think that I did a better work. I did 2 pictures. The bookshop I selected simply because I love bookshops. I love books, I love bookshops, and I somehow thought that maybe for the bookshop in the village it would be nice to use a lot of dark colors, both for the wood, for the windows, maybe because they sell a lot of old books, so I wanted to emphasize this vintage style of the bookshop. Nothing special to to say about this page, quite traditional colors for me. The second one I love a little bit more, maybe because it has more clear colors, I don't know, more vibrant colors. Just difficult to explain why something I consider as more successful and something as less successful. Maybe that's because this one I colored quicker, easier, color selection was easier. And I think that here I also managed to do nice highlights near the lantern here, a lot of interesting things inside of the window, inside of the shop. I decided that I don't want to outline everything with Posca, sometimes even if lines are quite thick and disturb me, especially on the fruits, vegetables. And sometimes Posca also looks quite rough, so I tried to get this balance. On flowers I used Posca, on the rest I decided that it's okay. Well, so that was my Teresa Goodrich works. And now we switch to Ivy. First, let's have a look at this spread, which I actually colored in May, 90% of it, but in June I did my last touches, so let me show you the finished work. I think that among the June Ivy works, that was one acceptable. The rest is so-so. Here maybe my background is a little bit too crowded, but as I wasn't able to cover paper very smoothly, I added some distracting elements like those tiny circles or stars, and in such way, even if coverage of the paper isn't perfect, I still think that it looks interesting. I tried to do the nice soft frame around text. I still want text to be visible, and at least here are some of the elements which we have on the page. They are connected to the text. It's a rare thing in this book, because sometimes you look at the text, you look at the image, and you think that there are no connection at all. Here at least we have this golden compass which I turned into the main focal point, and I wanted to increase this impression by adding those rays of light. I think that it really turns this top part of the page into something quite nice. And here, as a matching area, those elves' houses inside of the mushrooms. The most difficult part was how to do the background, because I knew that behind the mushrooms I would love to have dark teal green, dark green color, and on top I needed something in dark blue, maybe dark violet color. I think that it worked quite well. Here I decided to do more sharp border between two colors, here more soft, and I used Prismacolor pencils and Arctics pencils. I love to use Arctics here for the background. I don't want to spend my more precious Prismacolors for such book. Another one I did with a watercolor background, and I am still not sure was it wise to use such a limited amount of colors for the moon. Maybe it would be wise to use either all yellow colors. In such way my moon will have this yellow shining image, but here I decided also to add several lilac flowers, and I still don't know, do I like it or no. Also, I tried to outline something with Posca. It looked very rough, so I abandoned this idea. But, of course, with such intense background, imperfections of the moons, I managed to mask it. Anyway, the background here I did with watercolors and a little bit of Neocolor crayons. You can easily use them together. Neocolors I mostly used for this chalky effect. A little bit of white, a little bit of similar mauve color, very similar to the color of these flowers, exactly what I wanted and needed. So together they helped me to create those clouds on the night sky. And of course my usual trick to sprinkle everything with white paint. It really helps to mask imperfections. This paper is not perfect for watercolor, but you can use it carefully, especially when you have finished image on the other side. But technically I didn't have any problems with bleeding through. I simply tried to be careful here near edges, and everything worked well. Of course, with watercolors it was much quicker to do such background. And finally I have this very strange spread, which I also partly colored in May. This part with a bee, which was done by Johanna in such childish way, so it was very difficult to color it. I decided to do this honeycomb background here because I had stencil for it, quite helpful. That's what inspired me for such background. The rest of the background I did with Arctics pencils. Arctics, actually I can advise for this book, for the background. They work well, they blend smoothly. On top of it, all this embellishment I added with distress ink and again with stencil. But I think that maybe I did it in too crowded. Those flowers which I added with Arctics marker, I think that it doesn't look very well, very childish. I wanted to support somehow color of these flowers which I added and color of the wings, but now probably I would stop only for the dots and without these flowers. And this intense yellow totally blocked me from doing the left side. I didn't know how to use similar colors, how to distribute them for this page, where actually we don't have any interesting objects. A story here about Ivy and Mouse going through the thorn-lined path, where here we have thorn-lined path. Also they have mentioned the griffin, no griffin at all. So very strange page. And now I notice that I actually forgot to color butterfly. Well, I will do it when I finish the film. So it was difficult to find some ideas, but in the end, when I looked at the body of the butterfly, I grabbed those green colors, the same yellow-brown colors, and I used them for the swirls. Then colors from the wings I used for several color accents to attract attention to two normal objects here, to the castle and to the balloon. Far from being perfect, but I'm proud of myself that I finished the spread. I know that if people want to color with me the whole book, they need to color even such stupid spreads where we don't have any interesting objects. But well, I finished it, and I think that it was the best which I can do with such strange yellow background which I selected here. As a lesson for myself, plan colors for both pages, not only for this one, only for one, because then for the spread it will be much difficult to plan colors. Now let's look at my cats, because June definitely was month of cats. Let's start with Neko. Here I selected a relatively simple page. After the first picture which I did here with Pizza Party, where I used Prismacolors, this time I decided to work with polychromacies. I have mixed feelings. Somewhere they were better to use, somewhere they were a little bit more difficult to use, but for the smaller parts like these beautiful flower compositions, I think that definitely I will continue to use polychromos pencils. I even added a little bit of Arctics. If you want to do background in one layer without complicated layering, you can use Arctics. They cover paper nicely because of their creamy texture. Blending is so-so. They quickly became quite waxy, so not many layers you can do, but one or two it's totally possible. And again, it helped me to save my more precious pencils. Arctics, they have copies of my favorite Prismacolor colors like Pale Sage, like Peach Beige. So that's what I used here for this delicate light background. Most of all, I am proud of the cat. I think that it looks lovely, even if a little bit grumpy. Maybe not very happy that with some results, but she already have some nice results of her work, so already uh, very yummy berries, and I enjoyed doing berries here and here, so I don't know why cat looks a little bit grumpy for me. Well, it was lovely, and now I just need to select which page I want to do next, because I really want to continue doing pictures here, maybe not every month, but at least once in 2 months. That's definitely my idea. And more cats I have in Menu de Bonheur. After many months which I spent with Symphony of Cute Animals, I finally returned to Manuet, mostly because I wanted to work on this perfect paper, much better paper in my opinion comparing to Symphony, easier for me to do backgrounds with Prismacolor pencils, but the first background I actually did with paint, gouache and Arctics for this dark blue. Yes, I totally ran out now of the indigo Arctics pencil, but it's still better than run out of Prismacolor pencil. Here I have this lovely gouache color. I love it, and I used it already a lot, this Arctics paint. The rest Prismacolors. I especially love this lace frame. I think that it added a lot of freshness to the page. Even if everything is in dark colors, this frame really helped to make it more festive. Apart from it, everything was easy, quick, nothing complicated. Cats here, they are small, so it also was easy to color them. I was afraid that gray cat would be slightly lost, but I hope that their bright blue bows will help them to be visible inside of the card. The second one is much more vibrant, and honestly, I love this work with all my heart, even if it wasn't the easiest work. And let me present you my cats and peonies. I wanted to color it for a long time, but I wasn't sure in color choices. Then I finally decided that it's time to do it. Here the background pencils didn't blend as I expected, but in the end this peacock blue mixed with indigo blue actually worked quite well. I think that it's first time when I use this blend, and I was impressed. I decided that here I would love to use a lot of dark colors for shading, a lot of dark colors for the frame, and yeah, I hope that those dark colors helped me to add depth to the whole picture. I decided to use all my favorite brightest colors, so my peonies, they all are different, 3 different peonies, and I love all of them, so I consider them a success. They look nice, 3-dimensional, they look interesting, so that's definitely was the best part of the work. And then I did a break for several weeks. I colored this quickly, but then I had total block when I had to select colors for the kimono. It was complicated. I wanted to stay in relatively a limited color palette, but at the same time I was afraid that with such huge roses on the wallpaper, cats, they could be lost. In the end, I think that everything worked relatively well, apart from this flower which is still confused me behind the head of the cat. Maybe I had to add darker shadow on the wallpaper and to mask this one. But everything else, I think that it was okay. I decided that only on one kimono I want to reproduce the pattern. Here I mostly concentrated on highlights, on the shiny fabric, silk fabric, so I think that it's good. You know, I was so nervous when I started to color cats because I loved what I did so far and I didn't want to mess it up. So when I finished it, it was such a relaxed moment. I was proud of myself. and I am glad that I returned to it. Definitely I need to stay with this book for some time. Until the end of the year I would love to make bigger progress here. During previous years I colored maybe 10 pictures in this book each year. This year I concentrated on symphony, but I want to rectify this mistake, so maybe summer I will spend with Minuet, because we have here many lovely pictures with flowers, with fruits, exactly what I love to color. So I hope that in June or August I will show you more finished pictures. But this one I definitely consider as my best June of work. Thank you for watching, and I hope that soon I will publish video about my plans for the remaining 2 summer months, and I hope that I will color in July something nice. Thank you for watching, and until my next videos.